Hey, what's up guys? Dino Mike here. Today I thought we would not hang out in the fish room, but instead go outside and check out the greenhouse, talk about the fish, how things are overwintering, and just kind of go from there. First thing we got to do is put on some not as clean white shoes because it is super muddy out here. We got the bucket in front of the doors here because these things like to blow open, even though we have this little stopper on here. Whew, okay, so this is what's been going on. Alright, a lot of the plants, they're struggling. You can see our big pond plant here in the middle. I can't remember what this thing is called. It needs to just get pulled out. It's sending out some new growth. I need to either just trim it or remove it. I think I might take it out because it's just so big. The ground cover and everything is doing okay. The baby tears for sure is doing really good, but everything else is just kind of a little beat up. Especially the ferns over here. The mold hit really bad, and my fan, this thing is way too small. It's been giving me problems. It's on most of the time, but then, I don't know, I got an issue here that I need to resolve. We're keeping the vents closed, so there's just like a ton of humidity in here, and if we come over to the pond and check this out, you'll notice that the water level is down kind of low, but that's the second thing you notice. Obviously, we have a lot of this Sylvinia covering the top of the water, which has actually turned out to be really nice, and I'll explain why. But here you can see we got Chris. He's still doing really good. We got our white clouds, our golden white cloud minnows in here. We had some babies that popped up in the beginning of the fall, and we can see them in here as well. Let's actually clear a little bit of this out before we feed here. It'll make it easier. This plant is just super invasive. The one that we ended up putting in the filter, it has those round leaves. I can never remember what any of this stuff is called, but we're definitely gonna have to do a lot of work to this thing before we get into pond season 3. So basically the greenhouse has just been super low maintenance. I haven't really cared so much about how the plants are doing. We talked about the mold on the palms and stuff like that. Again, a lot of the plants that we tried in here were experimental. I didn't know how the overwintering process was going to go. And so, I mean, it's hard for me to really judge how it went because this is the first time that we've done this, but I'll say it hasn't been a total failure or anything like that. Really, at the end of the day, the most important thing to me is the pond and the fish, and they've been doing really, really good. We can always replant this whole thing in the spring for pond season 3, and that's kind of the plan, so no big deal. Let's back up here a second, guys. Let's check the temperature inside here. This thing is not doing too good. Probably the humidity has caused it to not function great, but in here it's almost 60 degrees, okay, and outside I think it's like 50 today. So the inside of the greenhouse only about 10 degrees warmer than the outside. The pond, however, is a nice 70 degrees Fahrenheit, or, you know, close to that. And that's because we actually have a 300 watt heater in here, kind of right towards the middle. You can see the cord coming in and it's plugged in over here. And that's been enough to keep the pond at roughly 70 degrees. Now when it gets really cold, and when it was really cold in December and January, the pond did get down to the low 60s, but that's still fine for the fish. These fish are pretty hardy, with the exception kind of being the cherry barbs, but they can handle it. They're still doing great in here. One thing that I think has really helped the temperature and the evaporation has been the Sylvinia covering the top of the water. I'm not sure how much that's influenced it, but I can't help but think that it has helped. Despite that, though, you will notice that we have quite a bit of evaporation. That's 100% evaporation here. It's super humid. And so I do have to come in, I'd say once a month, and top this thing back up to the top. And we're about to do that here in just a second with just the hose. Let's see what we got for food, though. Let's go ahead and feed these guys. Go ahead and put some in for Chris. He likes these little goldfish nuggets. Everybody's happy. There we go. All nice and almost full, guys. You can't see it right now, but I can. There's plenty of dwarf sag down here at the bottom of the pond. Still looking really good. We have the tall or the normal hair grass down there also still doing well. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of like it. I mean, I know it doesn't look like much now. It actually looks kind of bad, but I have a really good feeling about what's going to happen in the spring. And we will have to get in here and do quite a bit of work, you know, pruning out plants, pulling stuff out, putting in some new stuff, but I'm really excited for what's going to come in Pond Season 3 with this space. And honestly, I think the biggest regret that I have with this whole space is not getting the 14-foot version of this thing. I believe this is 12 by 10, no, 8 width, 12 in length, and I think I really should have gotten that 14-footer to have just 2 more feet. I mean, it would have made a huge difference, actually. It doesn't sound like it, but I know it would have, but it's okay. We're going to do what we can with this space, and I'm just looking forward to putting a lot of time into making it look good. And definitely more baby tears, because this stuff really excels, and I think it looks fantastic. I like how our little dude in here is just totally covered up to it, right up to his neck. That's crazy. Just wanted to make a short video today, guys. I think that's pretty much all we're going to talk about. We'll give you a little shot here of the newest tank we just set up, and it's doing pretty good. Everything else in the fish room kind of in a transitional period because we're gearing up. We're getting a lot of new tanks in, and we're going to be kind of rearranging stuff, so that's why we're not touching on some of the other things. But I do have a video on the Ancient Gardens tank coming up pretty soon, so I know you guys might be interested in that tank because it's kind of getting to the point where I don't know, that's all I'm going to say. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Just kidding, I do want to show off how good this tank is looking right now. Besides the substrate, of course, that's always going to be a problem. But this guy, I mean, the growth coming back is looking awesome. The baby tears is probably my favorite. Still waiting on the Rotala to come back up. In the back, I did a trim here and didn't clean it. But yeah, it's starting to come up, and we're going to be changing out the light here in a second, but there's your dose of fish tanks for the video. So that's going to do it, guys. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.